So yeah, there's just my name and website and these little characters. If you don't already know me, if we are not pals, I've been an art teacher since 2005 with teenagers, and I've also been making comics for about the same amount of time. Like MK said, this book came out last April, and it's about mental health, and it's really was supported and inspired by a lot of the graphic medicine work and conferences I've been able to attend. Um, and I used to bring cartoonists to my classroom, and I worked in Lexington, Massachusetts, and we made a little Comic-Con called Lexicon. So these were like local cartoonists that came and on like their own time for free and like gave attention to my teenagers, which was amazing. And I love that about our local comics community here. So this is a little story that I tell when I say, why do I do this? Why do I do this workshop? And I've been doing this workshop um like maybe over 100 times now. Like I'm right now doing it, doing drawing workshops for the sixth graders in the city of New Bedford. And I tell them this story about my principal asking me to teach the other teachers at the school comics. And they like this because it's about teachers having a hard time. And but I think it's important for kids to know that that their adults are struggling, and drawing is often much harder for adults than it is for kids because kids draw more frequently. So here's a story. My principal asked me to teach comics to like the science and the history and the English teachers because they wanted to use it on like a half day when there was no students. And everyone sat in the big room together, and but there were some surprising responses. I kind of treated the adults, my colleagues, like I did my students. And I just kind of handed out the art supplies. I gave some prompts. I gave some ideas. And I said, let's go. And most people jumped in and had fun, but not everybody. Oops, there we go. So one teacher, I didn't really know that well, just kind of got up and like left the room in a huff. And I was like, well, maybe she's just having a bad day. I don't know what that was about, but she didn't seem happy about having to draw. Um, and then another teacher who I was really good friends with, a history teacher, I walked over to his table and I noticed that he hadn't drawn anything. We're like a good 20, 25 minutes into the session and his page was still blank. So I commented on that. And he said, I can't draw. And he had tears in his eyes. He was struggling. And at this point, I'm smiling because when I tell this story to sixth graders, they love this part where the teacher cries. I said, wow, why do you think he got so upset? Like, why wouldn't he want to draw? And, why would it bother him so much? And it kind of opens up this like idea of talking about feelings a little bit in the classroom, but it's somebody that's having feelings they don't know. It's a story, right? So there's a little remove. And then I tell them how terrible I felt as a teacher that someone felt this way. And it really bothered me that I couldn't make it better and that someone was having a negative experience. And they wanted to make it better. So the following year, I was asked a second time to teach this class, and I wanted to do a better job. So I came up with this concept that I'm going to share with you. And I wanted to survey the feelings in the room. Like, how can I take the temperature so that I can know if anybody's uncomfortable and I can, um, you know, make them feel more comfortable or just address it or make everyone feel okay with like how they feel. Um, so to do that, I created these characters, these little art supplies or office supplies. And I like to say that, and before this, I talk a little bit about characters too, but the Bean is my last name is Bean, and my students would call me Ms. Bean. So when I draw the bean shape, that to me equals presenter or teacher, explainer, person is the bean, right? And then I needed symbols to symbolize feelings about drawing. So that's what these other little characters are. And I'm going to introduce them to you. And I guess we'll probably use the chat to talk about them a little bit. But let's meet these characters. and ask yourself, and then knowing that it's a changing dynamic, but how are you feeling about drawing today? And you can have multiple responses. So the first one is HB, the pencil. And the pencil is a doodler, loves to draw, okay? And if you're like a pencil personality, drawing is one of your coping mechanisms for stress. It relaxes you, makes you happy. It's a way to unwind or just kind of keep you present. And it's like in your toolbox and you love it. And that might be you, okay? And you're playful and you like to draw to have fun. But then there's Erasmus, the eraser, who actually gets a bit stressed knowing that they're going to have to draw or kind of comes down really hard on themselves about drawing. And yeah, like just doesn't go in going like this is going to be fun. Like this actually might be unfun. And I'm dealing with that. So we might be feeling that way today. But then the next character is the ruler, Rulerford. And the ruler is a complicated character. I like explaining this one because it's about perfectionism, which is not a bad thing. It's great to want accuracy and precision and to be like striving for something greater, right? That's not a bad thing. But it's annoying when it's like obsessive and like for me, sometimes with I don't know about you, but drawing word balloons, I'll redraw a word balloon too many times. Like I'm like, I gotta move on. Like this is silly. Nobody cares. That type of thing where it's you're getting hung up. And that could be an issue if it makes you stop from completing something or like it's just never going to be good enough, so you don't do it. Um, Fine if things take a really long time, that's okay, but you do want to be able to move forward, right? If it's like stopping you or you're stuck, that's a problem. All right, so we can talk more and more about that, but that's a character I wanted to share. And then the last one is a very positive character, but different from the pencil. It's the Sharpie marker, the Penelope the pen. And if you think about pens, they are dark and strong and not to be erased, you know, purposeful. And so pen personalities like when your drawing is serving a purpose, right? So creating a book, right? Creating a graphic novel, all those pages, right? That's not fun every day to draw that. It's tedious and tiresome and you're gonna not be able to go to the beach or come to someone's birthday party sometimes because you get a deadline. But it feels really good to finish something purposeful and have something meaningful at the end of all that work. So you may not be the pencil that fills up sketchbooks with beautiful flowers like every day and it's amazing, but you will finish a little concept or idea because it serves a purpose and that motivates you. Okay, so we could definitely make up more characters, but I'm going to stop with these four and just for now. And I'm just curious if everybody in the chat could, and you could be more than one. So you could be like eraser slash pen or like, you know, ruler slash pencil. However you're feeling today, maybe just put them in the order of how you're feeling. And let's see who's identifying with what. And I only think about how I'm feeling. I think I'm in a pen mood. I want to feel pencil, but I think I'm in pen right now. Okay, so I'm checking in on the chat here and oh good. Oh, we're already having a nice dialogue. This is great. We've got some pencils, we've got some rulers. Yeah, I think a lot of people making books are feeling that pen energy. Oh, Abru is saying Erasmus every day. Yes. So I love when people can tell me that they're feeling eraser because in the classroom dynamic, I'll make a point to say, hey, I'm not going to call on you and make you come up here or put you on the spot because you're already like a little stressed out having to draw. You know, I'll probably rely on a more enthusiastic pencil personality to be my assistant or like do something. Yeah, and you can in MK says all of the above, like certainly. So and this is just my sneaky way of talking about feelings with anyone, because it's just hard to, you don't want to put someone directly on the spot and be like, "Are you anxious right now?" Or like, "You don't seem like you want to be here." I don't want to say things like that, but I feel like this kind of removes some discomfort and it's playful. And I've had kids, like one time this little boy was really hungry during a workshop and he was unhappy and didn't want to be there. And the mother kept like pushing him back in the room and he kept not wanting to be there. And we asked him like, "How are you feeling?" And he said, "I'm an eraser." And he just started crying. You can go, you can go. So it just gives us language, and it's and you could come up with colors, you could come up with food, you could use any symbols you want, as a cartoonist. But this was really effective for me and like since it's happened, yeah, I just didn't feel that tension I felt that first time teaching adults. And then I left my teaching job, and then during the pandemic, I started doing more workshops online to comfort people and bring people together the same way you've been doing your drawing group. And I started pulling this out, and I was using it with like veterinarians and people in offices and like and kids. Like the kids don't honestly need it as much as adults do. I could probably skip it with them, but they still like it, and I think it's like fun. Um, so let me keep moving. Oh yeah, this MK, you're saying, what about all of them? This is my creepy drawing that makes everyone go, ew, of like just to say we are all of these characters, and depending on the context and the scenario and the day you're having and the pressures that are on you, like, different feelings come out, and we're, completely conscious of that. So it's good to or for me, I always say like I feel like I get stuck because I'm like working on projects. I miss being a pencil. I just want to draw for fun and like do goofy, silly things. And instead I have like this, set of things that I need to get done. So there's like a shift in energy, and I love drawing with people because it makes the pencil come out in me more. And I miss that pencil feeling sometimes, just doodling. And my mom said you could also just be the blank piece of paper. We could try to like even the good feeling, not have any like expectations, and just kind of accept whatever's going to happen today, whatever's going to come out of our drawing session together. Like just kind of be open and feel blank and hopefully feel good. If you feel bad, just be like, what made it feel bad? How could I change it next time? So this is sort of a little agenda that I make for doing workshops. I think that spending time getting to know everybody, I'm rushing a little bit with us because I want to get through this. But if it was truly a workshop, I'd want to know who you are and, talk to you a little bit. Um, Obviously, finding out how everyone feels about drawing first before I make you do anything. And then we do a warm-up exercise, and I'm going to go really slow on that part today with us because it's also kind of maybe the more important piece. And since I've been doing these workshops with like hundreds of kids lately, I'm really noticing some interesting things about the warming up that I wanted to share with you. Um, I will give some structure, but then I really honestly don't care what people draw at the end of the day. I care about how they feel, and whether they're feeling like they can move forward. That's my job as the art teacher in the room, is to kind of like be a cheerleader for you and get you to either like loosen you up if you're too tight or get you focused if you need somewhere to go. I want to get to the point where people feel comfortable with me telling me what they're trying to do, and I can try to help them. I'm going to be going to Virginia Tech to work with a neuroscience class that's working on doing community projects about the opioid addictions, or about preventative comics and communications about that. And they're really just bringing me in to do this kind of stuff with them. They're really smart people. They've got all their research. They've got all these great connections, but they just need to draw. So I'm going in just to do this. So for me, it's really fun to do. I didn't expect I would ever be doing this, but it's very fun. And I'm kind of understanding my role as a sort of art teacher to whoever wants an art teacher. So the one piece well, we won't be able to do in the same way as we would in person is the social element. So if you were with me in Athlone, Ireland, we were able to draw on each other's drawings and kind of pass our papers around, which I really love to do in person because it's gentle, but it's social. So like we get to introduce ourselves to a stranger in a very non-threatening way. And it's a very brief and quick thing. You don't have to have a conversation. You're just drawing for each other. And so I'll describe that, but we can't do that because we're in our little homes. If you have other people around you, you could do it with people in your home. And then at the very end, it's really nice to celebrate the results, especially with young people. They want that validation that you see them and you see what they did. Okay, so here's our agenda. I like to always kind of like just check in with yourself and make sure, like, if you need a glass of water, if you need to take a bathroom break, make sure you have the tools that you want to doodle with today, the pens, the pencils. I'm going to be using this black marker, and just get ready. It's coming. We're going to be very conscious of mindfulness and paying attention to the moment. That's going to bring our drawings with us, or our pencils and our pens, to kind of bring us right here to the right here and now. And this is like just being, the way that you might feel your skin, the things you might hear, the things you might taste, the things you might smell. And then we're gonna pursue the concept of befriending a pencil. So if you can see me, I want you, this is a silly thing, but I do this with everybody, even teenagers who act like they hate you. I make them do this. I taught those teenagers for many years. So I know that they secretly want to be your friend, but they're going to pretend to hate you. So what we're going to do is we're going to access some oxytocin, the cuddle chemical of our brain, right? So I do this and it kind of get everyone to act a little bit dorky at the beginning so that it bonds us. So what you're going to do is you're going to roll your pen or pencil in your hands like this. We're all going to do that. And so we're going to build it's cold where I am, and we're going to build a little bit of heat in my hands. And then we're going to play a little imaginary game where you are, as you're rolling, pretending you're going for a little walk somewhere in your mind, and you come upon a little animal, a baby, adorable animal. Okay, so it could be a puppy, could be a kitten. It's your imagination. It could be a dragon. It could be a baby penguin. I don't know what that's mine. Mine's been baby penguin lately. And so you pick it up and it like loves you and it bonds to you immediately, like an intense connection right off the bat, you and this little animal. Okay, you're like, oh, it's scared and it's hungry, and you take it with you and you bring it to somewhere where there's a bunch of people that you know, and they want to pet the little animal. And the animal is like, no, it only likes you. It's like really only trusts you. It's this really intense, like it's you and this little animal, that kind of connection. Then I want you to transfer that energy, that bond, into your pen or pencil, and feel that this pen or pencil wants to draw with you. It doesn't want to do taxes. It doesn't want to take a test. It wants to draw. It wants to be free, and it wants to play, and it wants you to be the one to take it with you. Okay. And then feel like you can get that sort of cozy little energy, send it into your pen or pencil. And I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but it sort of works. It kind of gets you in this like softer space. Okay. And then we're going to begin to draw together. So there's a lot of different kinds of like introductory mark making things I'm sure you're aware of. You can do with your pen or pencil, shading and twisting and dots and marks. I know, I think I did attend that Linda Berry drawing with us, and she does a slow spiral, right? Like really slow like that. And that's a nice one. I do like that. But the one that I like to do is a little zippier and faster, and it's repeated shapes. Okay, so bear with me for a second. I'm going to stop share and see if I can get my document camera to work. Let's see. And then I'm gonna spotlight this so I can just see. Okay. Fuzzy. I can get it to there. Hmm. There we go. All right, beautiful. Okay. So I don't know why that took so long. So here's my beautifully bonded pen. And I think that loops or circles are nice shapes. And but what we really want to do is we want to do a lot of one thing. If you don't like loops or circles, another option is you could do a figure eight. See how that's still continuous, right? And you could stay on one and just stay there. Come over here like this. Yeah. You could stay on you, or you could do a bunch of little snappy, little quick ones like this, right? Um, but we're gonna do many, many, many loops and circles. And as we do them, I want you to think about your senses. So what is the sound that's made by your pencil or your pen or whatever you're using um, as you do this? So listen. I want you to think about the way, the touch, feeling. How do you hold your pen when you're writing? Let me change pens for a second too. When I'm writing, I might hold it really, like this at the top. But if I'm drawing, it might be interesting to hold it from the middle, or even if I feel like I really want to have a loose control, I could hold it from the back, right? Middle, front, and just feel the difference between the different ways that you could be holding your pen. And then I want you to think about this like throwing down beats. Like if it was music, you're going to start creating a rhythm. And to do that, you need to do many, many, many of these. And they can be overlapping. They can just make a big mess. I don't really care what it looks like. I want you to just breathe, take some deep breaths, and just feel like maybe how you might relax more and more as you do them. Okay. And I would say it takes a long time for me to actually feel a little switch or change happen inside of me as I do one after another, after another, after another. And see, and I actually, the more relaxed I get, the less I can talk when I do it. But that's good. It's good for my mind. Um, I kind of feel like you work for a loop factory and you have a little robotic hand that just makes loops. And one after another. And in a way, we're battling perfectionism here because if we have only one loop, you might start attacking the loop and saying, "Oh, you're wrong. This is bad. It doesn't look good." But if you have 100 of these, some will be strong, some will be weaker, some will be even, some will be wiggly, wobbly, but there's so many we can't care about it. And that's the more important piece is the relaxation and the acceptance of your marks, right? So that you don't have that resistance and judgment. So as we're doing these, I'm going to come back to being a face really quick. Oops, I almost did the wrong button. Okay, so just checking in with everybody. Should start to have a pretty full page of loops. You can still be looping and circling and figure eighting to relax. But yeah, just kind of if you still feeling a little tight, take some more deep breaths and just kind of relax into it. And I would say if this was music instead of marks, it would have kind of a swirly wow 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 feeling to it, right? It's like repetitive and echoing, and that might bring you down, like just kind of center you. It's great for when you're entrapped in a tight space, like a meeting or in a Zoom that you don't want to be on, or hopefully you do want to be on this one. Or airport, or I like to say too, sometimes when you get a brand new sketchbook and it's just that first page is too clean and white and perfect, and you need some way to just like do something, it's a good start. Um, and you can do it when you can't go for a walk, or it's too cold outside, or there's a storm, or it's nighttime, and for whatever reason you're in one little spot. It's one way to kind of put an anchor down so that you don't float away. It kind of keeps you here. And I'm gonna classify that as mindful doodling. And I'll just show you some of the kids. This past week, I was with sixth graders. And so some of them really went aggressive on their mark making, but I love it. And I remember the teacher kept looking at me like, is this wrong? Are they going to get in trouble? And I was like, no, these are beautiful. So a lot of these went beyond out of the circles just into scribbling, and that's fine with me too. But I could feel the kids could kind of go, you might find yourself being much more controlled, but these little kids really went for it. And and then there were some that were really gentle and just did like tiny, barely touching the paper in the corner. I think I just grouped these kind of bigger ones together. So just to kind of show you, it's okay. We're gonna waste a little, not waste paper, but like we're gonna make some drawings that we maybe don't hang up, or they left these behind. They didn't find these interesting. I did. I saved them because I liked the fire and tenacity that were coming out in our mindfulness, and the idea of being in school where you're trapped, and they were being forced to do this. They weren't choosing to do it, and yet they were still trusting me as a new person and letting me order them around, basically. So we're gonna go on to the next concept, from mindful drawing into noodling, which I love to talk about. So I'm gonna go back to my document camera. Okay, so I've got my um, random marks, right? So this would be my mindful doodle, but if I want to bring on the concept of noodling, I like to tell people, like, if you think about connect the dots, you can just connect the contours of some of these shapes. I don't think where I am. Ooh. Okay. Oh yeah, there I am. Okay. So you can see if I just draw some lines, connecting my ellipses, it starts to become a big tube, right? But then I could also think of these as holes that maybe something could grow out of, maybe like a weird worm or something could be here. And I could shading is noodling. So I'm basically, noodling is just taking what's already there and adding a little something to it. Okay. And it could become eyes, and whatever your brain just fancies, go ahead and have some fun drawing, making things out of these ellipses. And ellipses are useful because, like, anything that has a circular top, right, is a cylinder, right? And you could put a little handle on this. Now you've got a mug. So, it's not a waste of time to practice ellipses and making loops. It's a good drawing skill for you to have, and you can have some fun just blobbing things into something without thinking too much about it or still not caring that much, right? Like that's the important part is the being able to walk away. It's just keeping you from not feeling bored, like you've got something to occupy your time, but you're not bringing all that baggage of it having to be this brilliant thing. You're just having fun, what, making some marks and playing and seeing what your imagination might want to do. Um, and just feel how this is a different feeling from the last activity where we were doing the initial shapes. I was saying it would make a sound like wow, 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 swirly, swirly, swirly. This was more in my mind like a pizzicato, right? Like pling, pling, pling. We're just trying things. We're on one side of the page, we move to another side of the page, but we're uh, not caring that much about whether it works out or not. Just kind of trying things, shading things. If you had colored markers, you could color in different things, and that's still noodling. And maybe the colors relax you, right? So this is just something. There's certainly types of drawing where you are completely distracted and you couldn't still be listening, but this is very light, doodling, where we can um, still be present for the most part. So, okay. So from there, I do a little bit of talking about cartooning, just to get, depending on the group that I have. I feel like most of you are probably pretty experienced, but just to refresh our minds, we could say like, if we just touch the paper once, we make a dot, um, and there's a lot of fun you can have with dots, especially in cartooning, right? You can have a sad face. Oops, I have this I could have a baby face, right? These just are simple lines and dots. And also our lines have energy, right? Our lines are kind of our energy, what we bring to it, our handwriting, right? So I try to get people in my drawing groups to try to feel affection for like whoever that you have affection for in your life. You love their handwriting, maybe your grandparent or your parents or somebody, your best friend. Um, Someone feels that way about you too, right? So these marks, even when we're hard on ourselves about our marks, someone else can look at it. And when I am teaching with people that I know for a long period of time and I get to know their marks, I feel so happy when I can recognize their drawings or their little doodles and they didn't sign their name. I just know how they make marks. Um, so then, if you can have some fun with the energy of a line, but then you continue your line and close it in. Now we have the power of shapes, right? So we can all be drawing our just making blob shapes. And so that's the next activity I'll do is sort of have people fill up a piece of paper with a bunch of random shapes. And this is where if I was doing an in-person workshop, I would have us draw shapes for each other. And that's our little social moment where like you give me a shape and I give you a shape, and then you have to make something out of my shape and I have to make something out of your shape. And then I think I got this from Linda Berry, but she says, if you don't know what to do with the shape and you get nervous, you can always just put like a bunch of eyes, and tentacles. You can make blob monsters, and they're great because you don't have to know how to draw one. You can just make it up, and there's no wrong way to do it. So if you get that resistance or judgmental feeling, just know that you can go back to a blob monster if you need it. And that's fun. And most adults and kids like to just draw little weird creatures. And then I also like to say that like if people are really experienced artists and they can draw amazing detail and they can spend a long time, I try to encourage them to draw a little more simply and just enjoy what can happen quickly in this workshop. And then you can always spend more time later refining something. But, use this as an opportunity to simplify. Um, so then what we would do is we would fill an entire page with little characters. I always like to use a simple one like a triangle. And then I say, you can just put one circle. It could be a cyclops tortilla chip, and anyone could draw that. And it's a little cuter and more fun than a stick figure, but not hard to draw. And you can talk about like all your basic shapes and how you could combine them. Um, and remember, I'm a bean. I like to use my bean shape, so I always put a bean in there. But I could turn that into like a fish or something. It doesn't have to be my character. I can just use that shape for anything I want. Yeah. Um, so doing okay. So let me check back in. Okay, so how are we doing? Are we filling up some shapes on our page? And this is where I like to bring in some concepts and language about sort of process. And in the beginning, just the really needing to relax. And I know, like when I was a classroom teacher, I would get so excited when the summer came. I could finally make my comics, I could make art, I could do all these things. I had more time. But that very first week, I had so much resistance because I just wasn't in the practice. And then I would get the first few years really down on myself, like, what's wrong with me? I want to make art. And I'm like, I can't. So a lot of this too is just that really having to rest and relax. So on a small scale, just doing our circles and kind of entering this current space and putting aside whatever you were doing today or need to do before the week starts and such so on. Um, and then kind of making a mess, like really filling a page with weirdo characters, trying to do things you don't normally do. Try not to do your common doodles, like try to break out and do a weird new character, little doodles. Um, and so I'll spend time uh, filling up a whole page of characters, and I like to call it like at the end of it when the whole page is filled, there is like a casting call. So what you have on that messy one page is like your sketchbook, basically, even it's just loose paper, but it's like a sketchbook in that it's totally free, messy, open, anything can happen. And usually at the end of filling up a bunch of shapes, one shape kind of steps forward, maybe two, but one will say like, I'm the character that you're interested in on this messy page. And one becomes, I don't know, just special to you or makes you laugh or is just strange and you like it. And it kind of comes forward. And so what I like to do is then, set that page aside. And I might do some little like memory prompts. Like I'll do things like close your eyes. Okay. And then I'll say, remember something from since you woke up this morning, something someone said, or you said, or it was a text, it could have been on the radio, it could have been on television. It doesn't really matter what the thing that comes to the surface is, it just has to be from today. And write it down. If it's like a one word a one word or a little sentence, brief. Yeah, like this is, I want to see if like maybe you pull something up and then just write that down on your messy piece of paper, a little thing from today. I have one I just thought of writing it down. Okay. And then so I'm going to get a different prompt. Close your eyes again. This time it's not about today. Just a music lyric, like, and it might be an annoying one because those come up first, but what's like a song lyric that rises to the top for you? and write that down just to have something. Um, and then to project a little bit into the future, but with not going into a stressful place, two things you want to do, short term or long term, two things that you'd like to do in the future, and write them down, right? And then we're just kind of like pulling things out of your mind, throwing them on the paper. Okay, and then what I'll do is we'll get a new blank piece of paper or the back if you want. You might want to have a new piece if you have it. And then just draw yourself very quickly 4 panels. And I'm not using a ruler. These are messy. Right. And then just to feel the difference of when you go through your page of weird characters you made, that one that rose to the star of the page, redraw them in the first panel. You know, just give them and you can alter them or change them. You're the artist, you get to decide, but just give it just a couple, like not even like a minute to redraw your little character because you drew it quickly. Should be able to hopefully draw it. You want to choose something easy that's not overwhelming. I drew this beanfish. And then um I might add, since I drew a fish, I might add some water on mine. You can draw a little background information. Again, real simple. And then what I like to do is look at it, and if you want to, you could choose from some of those quotes or things that you just thought of, and write it at the top of the panel. So I'm kind of taking us into um, making a comic very simply and without any judgment or understanding of where this is even going to go. So mine says she's got energy, and it's this fish, right? And then we just feel the pull of um our minds. It's like the human brain is such a little puzzle solver. You're gonna want to keep going. You've got 3 more panels, and then knowing that we have this time together, see if you can decide what would happen in the next panel. Like you could do more writing if you feel like, but you don't like the initial piece that I took is from I was talking about my dog, but now this is this fish in the water. This is a different scenario. I can have more fun and I can play and just see where this takes me. And I've only got the 3 beats to fill in. So let's see where you end up. And if it ends up just being a little flopper that's dumb and it doesn't even make sense, that's great too. Like it doesn't really matter what you do, just go and try. Sometimes I've done this so many times. Sometimes I hit on something really poetic and meaningful, and sometimes I'm like, well, that was a really silly one. And let's just see what happens. So let's spend a few minutes just playing with our little quick comic. Okay, does that sound good? Okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You see my Lucy Bellwood. The demon. The demon is here to make sure that you don't feel bad. Remember to breathe and to just go with the path of least resistance. Just whatever is the easiest thing that feel like you can actually do. If you like to write more than draw, do that. If you like to draw more than write, do that. Oh, yeah. So I would say if you need a prompt, yeah, this is important. So the prompt, like the piece of writing is only if you need it. If you drew that little character and you said, I don't want to add any words to this, or I feel like I've already got an idea of what I want it to be, don't feel any pressure from what I'm telling you to do. I basically just want you to fill in the four panels. And sometimes some of us need a prompt because we get stuck. So only use the memory, the music lyric, or the thinking of the future if you need that, but you can disregard it as well if you want to. Okay, and just kind of noticing, keep drawing. Ignore me if you're you can block me out, but if you're in a place where you're maybe you've done something and you're done, um just notice what your brain did, like the strange alchemy of kind of bringing together images and words and transitions. And when you are slowing down like this and being open to it, it's like it's really weird and kind of magical what happens. I just threw in a comic as our activity. Like I said, if you're ever teaching a drawing workshop, you could, this is where you could put in any set of instructions for something more specific. I kept it really open, but you can see that it felt like we needed to have some structure and a process to make something. Oh, let me go back to so I here's my little comic. My little fish. My fish found the bean. The bean was on this island. So I found myself through the fish. The fish has energy and the other is tired and trapped, and the fish is like really, I guess, cheering on the bean to be like, we can work together. So I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to myself through comics, but it's like entertaining me, and I feel open and full of possibilities of where I could go metaphorically or worlds that I can create.
Have a great week.
Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. I really appreciate you.